Hello, everyone, and welcome back to A Cup of Cozy. I'm really excited to introduce you to our guest today, Gavin. Gavin is a booktuber, a reader of nostalgic book series, and a cat dad to 2 kitties. Welcome to the show, Gavin.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Kelly. I'm so excited to be here and talk all things books and cozy and cats and coffee and everything.
Yes, it's going to be a fun time.
Yes.
So, as always, we start with our cozy drinks. So, what are you drinking today?
I have and if anyone actually watches my channel, they'll know how addicted I am to these and I really should stop. But this is my homemade cappuccino. I got an espresso machine like maybe 2 years ago or something, and I've never looked back. In fact, I never leave the house without it. So literally wherever I go, doesn't matter where, doesn't matter if it's a haunted castle or to the Shire, I take that coffee machine. It comes with me. I can't take my cats, unfortunately, but I do take my coffee. And yeah, I'm having a cappuccino. I love that. I'm addicted. I need to stop. I need to cut down on caffeine, but it is what it is.
Don't we all? I have
Mhm.
a big espresso machine too. I can't believe you bring
Mm.
that places with you. It's huge.
It is, but because my sister, bless her heart, she takes me wherever I need to go. Like she's such a good driver, and yeah, she puts it in the back of her car. We take it. It's like the most important thing. Like if I forget my camera, that would be devastating. But I don't think it would be as devastating as forget my coffee machine. I wouldn't get a video out of it because I'd have forgotten my camera, but at least I'd have coffee to keep me going. So
There you
that's
go.
the main
That's
thing.
something.
Yeah, exactly.
So I switched up with mine today, and my mug is massive.
Oh, it looks kind of the same-ish size as mine too. Like I feel like
Is it?
maybe
It's
like
like as big as my face.
yeah, mine's about half my face too.
But I did hot cocoa today, and it is very importantly. I think it's I don't know what the brand is, but it's salted caramel hot cocoa.
Ooh,
And it is just superior, the superior hot cocoa.
is that your favorite flavor of like anything ever? Like salted
Mm,
caramel for drinks?
I don't know because I don't really like it in coffee,
Hmm, interesting.
but
Just hot cocoa.
just hot cocoa, it's really good in hot cocoa. Or like a cake with salted caramel.
Mm, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. What about you? Do you add flavors to your stuff?
Only, I think from September to December, that's when I do flavors. The rest of the year, I have just my cappuccinos. I'm so boring with that, but I love just waking up in the morning, having my first cappuccino, and then have my second cappuccino, maybe my third cappuccino, and then start the day. But other times of the year, I think, yeah, September, October, pumpkin spice lattes all day, every day. And then November, December, it's the festive drinks. It's the gingerbread lattes. It's the hazelnut lattes, and
Mm-hmm.
all of this. But I'm a simple guy. I just like coffee any which way it comes, and syrups I do like, but only at certain times of the year.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You might not know this, but pumpkin spice, big part of my brand here. My Twitch name
Nice.
is Pumpkin Spice Gamer. So lots
Nice.
of
I
people
was gonna
on
try and
social
find you.
media, yeah,
Yeah,
lots of people call me Pumpkin Spice.
I love
Uh,
that.
yeah, so that's also a favorite flavor. I discovered
Hmm.
Aldi in the US. They have
Mm.
pumpkin spice whipped topping that comes out seasonally. So it's whipped
What?
cream, but it's pumpkin spice flavored, and it's amazing. So just make a normal cup of coffee, put that on top,
Uh
pumpkin spice
huh.
coffee.
And that's Aldi.
Mm-hmm.
We have Aldi.
Mm-hmm.
I've never. I didn't know they did that. Oh my gosh. Okay, next time, I
It's
imagine it'll
really
probably be
good.
more towards Halloween time. I will find it, unless it's all year round. Because I would have it all year round if I could.
It's not. It's only
Damn.
seasonal, and it's like limited time. Uh, but it's
I'll
so
find
good.
it.
I discovered it this year, and
Hmm.
new go to.
I'll hunt it down this fall And then as soon as I try it, I'm sending you a message. I'll be like, look, it was
Okay.
great or it was terrible. If it was terrible, I'll never trust your opinion again. But if it's good, you know, you're
I
in.
can't see how you wouldn't think it was good. It's
True.
so good. Anyway, we should get into the rest of our chat. We could talk about coffee a whole entire episode, though. I mean, that is possible.
It is.
So we've had a booktuber on the show before, but I'm sure that there's people who are listening to us right now who don't know what booktube is. So if you could give like an overview of what booktube is and how you got into it.
Well, booktube is honestly such a vast place where even I struggle to define booktube to people in real life. Like so many people, when I say I'm a booktuber, they're like, well, what does that mean? Like, what is that? What do you mean? So I always start off with saying it's really just a thriving community of book lovers. Like, it doesn't matter if it was like I kind of associate booktube alongside like Bookstagram and Book Talk and Book Twitter and all of that. It's like it's just this like it's hard to describe, but like this wonderful place where people just like virtually meet and talk about books and read together. And there are so many things, and we mentioned this before the interview and stuff about like readathons, and you know, like the community has just never felt more alive and connected. Yeah. So booktube itself is really just a part of YouTube where we do all of that, all of those things that book lovers love to do. And before I joined booktube, I was like, well, like, who do I talk to books about? Like, who actually likes books that I know? Barely anyone, honestly. I went to uni for a few years, and people read books because we had to read books. It wasn't exactly that we were reading because we loved what we were reading. So it took such a long time to find somewhere where I could read whatever I wanted and not feel weird about it. And I do think booktube is a great place for people to explore what they love to read in like such a like safe and secure. Sorry, that's Ash.
That was
I
great.
told you he would literally interrupt anything. He's just that annoying. But he really is like the worst. Anyway, so going off on that, yeah, it's like you could explore your book tastes and not feel judged. Like as a person, a reader, I've gone through so many different phases of what I love to read and what I love to do on YouTube since joining booktube, and I can't even describe like that journey itself in a way that really like gets it across in a way that I think like how would people like understand like how different I am from only 5 years ago when I started, you know? It's like it's been the longest but also the shortest 5 years of my life. So it's like it's honestly so strange. But booktube isn't strange. It's the least strange place I've ever been. And Ash is literally drooling on me right now. I apologize. I think
you should tell people why your cat's name is Ash.
Oh yeah. Okay, so my Ash, who is on me right now, I named him and his brother Tobu after a couple of characters in one of my favorite book series of all time, which is Frostheart by Jamie Littler. And Ash is the main character of that. He's a young boy who has these magical powers and he doesn't really know how to use them. And Tobu is his Yeti guardian. And I feel like those names perfectly fit Ash and Tobu. And because like I don't know which one's older. They're both brothers. They came from the same litter. But Tobu does have to like look after Ash every now and then. Ash is a liability. He is such a wildfire. He really is. And Tobu has to like keep him in check sometimes. So I feel like they really do embody their names. I couldn't have named them better, to be honest. But I think naming pets after book characters is the best. Like you have cats, right? Like Did you name them after book characters? Or anything like
pet?
That?
My cat, her name is Sophie. And my husband had gotten her before we met. So he named her Sophie. But I do think I'm a horseback rider as well. That if I ever owned my own horse, I really am just stuck that I would want to name it Heathcliff.
Heathcliff?
Yes.
Nice. Wait, is that Wuthering Heights?
Yes.
Nice. Okay, I had to
Because
double check.
he like worked in the stables and whatnot.
Mm,
And I
nice.
was like, that's just Heathcliff. That would be its
Oh my gosh,
name.
I have a confession. I haven't read Wuthering Heights yet, but I'm going to this year. I promise I
It's
will.
fine. I only read it because I had to read it in high school. I don't think
Fair.
I'd really like it if I read it now, because I'm not big on the classics.
I see. I kind of am. I do like me classics. Like I changed my channel name to Gavin Reads It All because I would read anything. I really would, and I do. I kind of like the classics. Every now and then I'll pick it up, and I'll be like, "Oh, this is going to be too like scary for me to read. I won't be able to understand it." But 9 times out of 10, I surprise myself and end up enjoying it. So I really do embody that reads it all persona.
That's good. What's the most
Yeah.
recent classic you've read?
Most recent, I think it would have been. Well, I read a couple of horrors from the 1900s back in
Okay.
October. Uh, One of them was called The House on the Borderlands. Can't quite remember the author's name. And another one called The Willows. Again, can't quite remember the author's name. And I really enjoyed those two, actually. They were, well, one of them was a bit strange. It was like very cosmic kind of horror. So
Mm-hmm.
it kind of went over my head a little bit because I'm really very, I say I read it all, but I barely read cosmic horror. In fact, that was my first one, I think. And the other one, The Willows, was so good. It was so atmospheric. And what I like about classics is that they can be very atmospheric and they can be a bit flowery with the details and the description sometimes, but I feel like you can't beat the atmosphere in those. So I think
Yeah,
those are why.
I think it's a product of the times
Hmm.
because that was like entertainment back then. Like the
Hmm.
only source of entertainment that you would sit down and read a book. So people would like to
True.
spend hours reading them. And now that we have all these short attention spans because we have TikTok, uh,
True.
people can't last that long in a book. That's always been my theory.
Which is so sad, but like I feel like you're actually right as well because one of my favorite classic authors is Anne Radcliffe. She wrote some gothic fiction. Like she was a pioneer of the gothic genre back in the 1790s. And one of the books that she read was The Mysteries of Udolpho, and that is just filled like pages upon pages upon pages of description of like these foreign hills and foreign lands, and it's like really gorgeous and beautiful. But I think that was because during that time people couldn't travel themselves, like they didn't really
That's a
have
good
the
point.
means to. Yeah, so like I feel like she kind of bridged that gap so that her readers could experience these things, and they have to describe it. Like you're absolutely right, they have to describe it so vividly because that was their form of entertainment. That was
Hmm.
the way that they were able to experience things that they could never experience themselves. So I have to give so many classics grace for that reason because yeah, a lot of them, they're a little bit arty farty, but like you know what I mean. It's like
Yeah, or
you've got to
you just
kind
feel
of
like it's
go with it.
going on and on. But like
Hmm.
if you think, after dinner, and then people would only be able to own like one book because they're really expensive.
Yes.
So it's like,
Also, they were
well,
splitting apart. Weren't they like
that
splitting
too.
apart as well? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
that
what?
was the thing. You had to wait for the
Weird.
next part to come out. They still
Oh,
kind of
I'd
do
hate that.
that in some like
Hmm.
literary magazines and stuff, and then it eventually becomes a novel. But
True.
I'm not in that scene, so I wouldn't know.
Me neither. And I guess you could say this like about like graphic novels like Heartstopper and stuff. That's released in parts and like manga.
Yeah,
Like yeah, that kind of similar esque kind of way, but not quite the same.
not quite the same. Like, would you
Yeah.
say that Crescent City was released in parts? Imagine
Oh
that as one
god.
book.
Oh my god. I would have given up honestly if it was released in like I feel like the only way that I could enjoy because like they are entertaining, like they are a fun time. But
Hmm.
reading them in parts, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. My attention span would go. I couldn't.
Yeah. Well, you're bringing me to another good question. We've been talking about books already and whatnot, but what
Hmm.
is your reading history, your reading journey? Have you always been a reader? Is it something that came to you as a hobby in adult life? What's the story?
What is the story?
Yes, what's
It's
the
like
story?
It's a scary question as well because the older I'm getting, the more hazy it's becoming. And I'm like, I need to cling on to these memories. Otherwise, one day I will wake up and I'll be like, why do I love reading? Like, why did I even start reading in the first place? But I do remember back in primary school, how old would I have been? Like, it's it'll be totally different from in the US and stuff, but like in the UK, I think it's ages 3 to 11. Like that's
Okay.
primary school, and I think I was around about 7 or 8 years old, maybe younger. And one of our English teachers would read us a Goosebumps book. Like pretty much every day during form class, like he would read a couple of chapters until we had to like go off to do our lessons and stuff. But like he would do the voices, he would act it out. Like he made like the experience of reading so fun and amazing. And I feel so bad because I don't know if I remember his name. I think he's called Mr. Smith, but I don't know if that's because anybody could be called Mr. Smith. Like I feel like that's probably something I just pulled out of nowhere. But I just remember absolutely loving his storytelling. And so ever since seeing him act it all out and stuff, like I've always kind of wanted to do something similar. Not as a teacher or anything like that. I feel like maybe this is why my natural progression has taken me to booktube and being able to like share stories myself and like my reading experience and make that kind of, will hopefully make it fun. But I just always hold on to those memories in form class of primary school. I was so young. But I also used to love wanting to write as well. I used to love reading like The Wizard of Oz. I think it was The Wizard of Oz. And I was like, oh, I really want to write something this magical myself.
Hmm.
So I would try to write, and I was never really that great at it. But it kept me in that book world. It kept me in that literary world and made me want to read more so I could hopefully write better. And then I kind of just, I don't really want to write anymore. I love making videos and just reading. But yeah, I think Goosebumps, which like it's odd as well because I reread them as an adult and they're not as great as I remember. But like I have to like remember that my childhood self absolutely adored them. So I'm gonna
Hmm.
honor him and still be like, oh yeah, Goosebumps is great. Like Goosebumps is the best thing that I've ever read because it kind of started me on my reading journey personally.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was Goosebumps and maybe some Thomas the Tank Engine picture books and stuff. I was obsessed with Thomas the Tank Engine. So I think I probably read a lot of those too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
I
you? Have you had like similar experiences with like maybe a teacher or someone? Because I feel like so many people these days, my niece, right? She is
Mhm.
13 now. She would also used to love reading. She doesn't love it as much now, but she also had a teacher who just really encouraged that reading. Did you have anyone like that in your life who really encouraged it too?
my the school system I grew up in, they were really big on reading. Like
Mm.
we were required to do reading at home. We had these little star charts. So it was like a reading tracker, okay? A
Oh, nice.
required
Okay.
reading tracker. And it
Okay.
had all lines in the middle, and then all
Mm.
around the edges were stars. And every time you
Oh,
read for 30 minutes, you fill in one of the stars. And then in the middle, you'd put the books that you read. And if you filled up a certain amount of stars, you would get like a prize.
oh.
So that just got me in the habit of reading because I
Hmm.
had to when I was
You were
younger. And
bribed.
yes, I was bribed with like raffle tickets and classroom pizza parties.
Oh my
Um,
god. Amazing.
I know it's kind of sad. Like if you didn't fill in your star chart, like in your class,
Mm.
everybody else got the pizza party and you had to like go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's a bit sad.
But so like growing up, I was going to like the library all the time, reading books and whatnot. I really liked the Magic Treehouse books.
Oh
Those
yeah.
I ate those up a lot.
Hmm.
Um, but then as I got older, I really got out of it. Um, and I think it was school like telling me what I had to read.
Mm. Yeah.
And I didn't really like a lot of what I had to read.
Mm.
And in college, I was an English major and I had to read a lot.
Yeah.
And I really didn't like
It's
a
the
lot of
way.
it.
It's the way.
But then, after college, a few years, I read Gone Girl.
Mm.
And that got me back into reading. I was like,
Oh
wow, this
nice.
is cool. This is fun.
Yeah.
and it got me back into it, and I found booktube, and then it just went off the rails.
Oh, as it does. As soon as you discover booktube, oh my gosh, you either buying more books, reading more books, it just booktube is a slippery slope, but at least it still ignites that passion and love for reading, so
Mm-hmm.
it's good.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It is a slippery slope, though. You find out what a
Hmm.
TBR is. If people don't know
Hmm.
what that is, it's a to be read list. But in the
Hmm.
book community, we just say TBR all the time.
Yeah,
People have
it's
asked me
easier
that.
that
They're
way.
like, what's a TBR?
Yeah,
I
everyone
forget
asks me
that
what's a
people don't
reading
read.
sprint. Yeah, yeah. When I try to, because my poor mum, like I tell her not to watch my channel or anything because I get embarrassed if I think any of my family's watching my channel. So if my mum watches, I tell her don't tell me about it. If you're gonna watch it, please do it without telling me because I get really embarrassed about it. Not that I think there's any shame in it. It's just like it's when it's my family and I'm talking about the things I talk about. So I
Right,
don't
right.
want them hearing. So yeah, she always asks me to well. She'll be like, I haven't been watching your channel or anything, but like, what's a TBR? What's a reading sprint? Like, like she'll give me these questions. I'm like, you've been watching me again, haven't you? So it's like, I don't know what to do at this point. But yeah,
She
TBRs
wants
and
to be
sprints.
supportive.
She does. I love it. I love the fact that she's such a supportive mum. But I need her to be like a silent supportive mum. I don't want. I honestly, if I think she's watched any of my recent like romance videos, oh my gosh, I just die from embarrassment. It's just there are certain things because I love sharing things online. I love being honest and open about everything. But then I think, oh god, but what if my mum sees that? Yeah, it's hard.
I get it. When I first started streaming on Twitch and I was doing that regularly, I told my
Hmm.
sister about it. My sister's 10 years older than me. And she was like, "What is that?" And then I was streaming Animal Crossing at the time.
Nice.
And I was like, people like watch me decorate my Animal Crossing island. And she's like,
Hmm.
"That's weird." Just people who
Yeah.
aren't in the community, and then you try to explain it to them and they just don't
Hmm.
get it.
Don't get
You're
it,
like,
no.
it's a thing. It's a thing.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like, well, people watch you read during reading sprints. I'm like, well, they're not watching
Yes.
me read. They're just like reading alongside me kind of thing. Like, that's what, but it does sound weird out of context, essentially.
Hmm.
Exactly, yeah, exactly the same as watching someone play a game. It's like, you're just watching them do that. Like, that's suspicious. But it's like, it's not. It's cozy. It's great. I have so much fun doing that myself. So I get
And
it.
it builds the community. The community is a
Hmm.
huge thing in this world. I love that
Hmm.
video you did a while ago where it was like a read with me,
Mm.
and it just had like ambient music and you were like
Oh, yeah.
moving around your house and reading books and petting your
Yeah.
cats.
Yes, so the cats are the most important thing. I mean, they made that video, and it is just nice because I also like to watch those kinds of videos and just have them on in the background, just for some
Hmm.
company. It's nothing more than that. Just it feels like someone's there, and like I can
Yes.
just be my, unfiltered self around that.
Hmm. Hmm. So we talked a bit about the community. Let's dive a little deeper into the
Oh gosh.
booktube community.
Uh
Um, no, good things, good things.
oh.
Like, what connections have you made, and what has that been like
Mm,
making friends through this online sphere?
mm. You know what? It's been great because I'm 31 years old, right? I'm 31. I joined BookTube when I was like 26, I want to say. It was 5 years ago now, so 26-ish. But like I used to, back in the 2000s, I used to go on forums all the time. Like I lived on
Mm.
online forums for like some of my favorite TV shows and favorite movies. There would always be like forums and stuff. So I've always loved making friends online. Like that's something that, like, not to sound like I'm unsocial or anything in person, because I'm not. I love people. I love talking to people. I love hanging out with people and stuff like that. But like there's something about having like online friends like with the same interests that really just
Yeah.
draw me in, and it just makes me feel like I can talk about anything and everything and feel like I have a place. So when I joined BookTube 5 years ago, initially it was because I had been I was a big watcher of BookTube for years. I used to watch like Jesse the Reader, and I still do, and like Read by Zoe. Like I used to watch it, I think from like 2013 or something, and I also loved it, and I wanted to be part of it for a long time, and just never decided not to do it. But I remember it was early 2019. Becca from Becca and the Books was doing Bookopoly, and I wanted to make my own Bookopoly. So I did. I made my own Bookopoly and I put it on Instagram. And that was like my very first interaction with a booktuber or like anybody in the book community, really. Because I was always like scared to approach anyone in the book community. I would always watch, but I wouldn't interact. And I remember sharing that on Instagram, and Becca was like very like supportive of that. And like she was like so nice about it. And then at the same time, the Owls Readathon that was hosted by Jay from Book Roast, she was hosting that at the time. And I was like, oh, readathon, like that sounds like so much fun and I want to be part of it. And I read so much that month and I was like, I've read all of these books and I really want to tell people about it. So I joined BookTube, and literally straight away I seem to have just made friends. Like I guess it's like quite easy for me to do sometimes because I would like to think I'm approachable. I would like to think that I make other people feel comfortable enough to come with me for anything or ask me anything and stuff like that. So I joined it, and then like say like Becca was like so supportive like right out the gate, and so many other people too, like Cody from Cody's Book Corner. And I remember I'd only been on BookTube a month, maybe not even a month, and I was watching Game of Thrones at like 3 a.m. with Becca and Cody, like these brand new episodes of the final season, and I'm like, we've known each other less than a month and we're watching these at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was just like, it was so instant, which is, I don't think everyone has that kind of experience, but it feels weird for me that I did. And I don't know how to explain how that happened. So honestly, I just feel like having those connections and making those friends like from very early on, and I'm still friends with pretty much everyone who I met that first year on BookTube, and then all of the incredible creators who have joined BookTube since. I feel like I'm friends with like a good range of people, and obviously like it has its limits too. Like you can't be friends with everyone. Like that would just be so exhausting, and I do get like overwhelmed a lot, and like that's something that I try and focus on improving my anxiety and stuff like that. So I try and like be friendly to everyone, but like it's so hard to like maintain friendships with everyone sometimes. But I just feel so
when they're
blessed.
all like across the globe too.
Yeah, we all have different time zones, and it's so hard to like stay in that same realm sometimes. But just even knowing that this community and all of these booktubers who I do know, it feels like such a blessed kind of thing to not feel like an outsider, or like to not feel like it's just one big clique that nobody's like invited to kind of thing. It feels very accessible. It feels approachable, and I feel like the friends and connections I made, I'm so lucky to still be friends with so many people. Like, I'm like, why would you be friends with me in the first place? You know what I mean? It's like, how do people find me? Like, how do people, it's strange, but it's great, and I love it. And yeah, it's just, yeah, I could gush about all the people on BookTube for hours upon hours, because I love creative people, and I love how creative BookTube is. I love the passion behind the reading and the books and the making videos. Oh, I could talk about them for ages, forever and ever and ever.
I feel like a good example of like camaraderie in this sphere is all of the I read booktubers favorites videos. So many people like look at other people for inspiration and then read their books and like link back to them, and it's just great. Like
it is but I can also understand like how sometimes it can be isolating. Sometimes, I guess, like say for instance, like the reading booktubers' favorite books. Like, yes, it's great. Like, I love being able to get new recommendations and stuff, but like it can also feel exclusionatory sometimes. Like, you see all these videos like filled with all these people, and then sometimes you're kind of like not part of a lot of that also. And like, there's loads of booktubers who aren't part of it too. And I can understand like how that can feel like people are being left out a little bit also. Like, so I can see both sides of it. Like, the reading booktuber favorites, yeah, it's like, it's so great to say like so many people being celebrated and recommended. But yeah, I can also say like sometimes it can feel like you're a little bit left out sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sometimes my sensitivity as well because I'm a Cancer moon and Cancer rising. You know, it's like, oh, I need to work on that, but yeah.
So that does kind of bring me into another topic.
Mm,
Um, Doing booktube, doing content creation, I gotta assume it's like a passion of yours.
mm,
And reading's a passion, and you really enjoy what you're doing, but it's also your job.
mm.
And I asked this same question of our last guest, Alyssa, who owns a small business online. Does it take any of the joy out of it, and how do you balance that?
Oh my gosh, I when I so I've been doing it more full time for the past year and a half. Like I still feel quite new to it. I still feel like because there isn't a union, there isn't many people you can go to with questions about it. Like you don't know how
Yeah.
it's supposed to be. You don't know how like your day is supposed to be structured. And yeah, it's great to be able to follow your passions and stuff, but like am I doing the right thing this day? Am I doing the right thing that day? So it can be like very tricky. At least like for me personally, I've kept that passion throughout and like yes, this is still something I absolutely love. But yeah, it's been the hardest balance of anything ever. I've always had a boss to tell me what to do, and like now I'm
Mm-hmm.
my own boss. So and I find it very hard to follow my own instructions sometimes. And sometimes I'll just go off on my own kind of whims and whether or not that is a good thing or bad thing, I never know half the time. But fortunately, it's like worked so far. So I'm like very lucky in that sense, but it's so hard to separate the two sometimes, and that's something I've been struggling with for a while because I feel like I do it 24/7. I don't just do it
Mm-hmm.
like you know, I don't have. Well, I do have a day off every now and then, I guess, but like I don't really have a day off from thinking. I don't have a day off from
Right. Yeah.
wanting to make, yeah, to plan or make a video or read or you know, I'm always doing something, and it's not like I can just you know, like finish at 5 p.m. and go home. And it's so hard to do it all in where I live, like in my house. And yeah, it's strange. It's so strange. And I would love to talk to more people about like how they do it full time and like the intricacies of that. But fortunately, yeah, it hasn't sucked out my passion. In fact, it's made me be able to do more things that I've never been able to do before. Like being able to
Mm-hmm.
go to like making this really random trip to like Whitby or something to read Dracula or go to a haunted castle or something. You know, it's like I wouldn't really be able to do all of that if I was still doing my part-time job because I would have to
Mm-hmm.
get the time off work. I would have to do all of these things that I don't think I could have done. So it's given me all of the options to uh pursue my dreams even harder than before. But it's also like sometimes it's hard to get your self-worth to feel like it's not tied into the numbers because it is a numbers game sometimes, especially when
Yeah.
it's your business or your income. So it's like it's so hard, it's so tricky. And yeah, like it's something I struggle with every single day. I'm like, oh gosh, like what if in like a couple of months like I can't keep doing this? Like what if I have to like go back to work? And you know, there's a lot of things, a lot of factors to it. But at the end of the day, the reason why I quit Waterstones to begin with was because I wanted to follow my dreams. You know, like this was a dream of mine, so I wanted to follow it. So even if it does fall apart in a couple of months' time or whatever, it's like, hey, I still did it. Like it was great while it lasted. And that's kind of the mindset that I have right now. And that's helping so much. It's like I don't feel as pressured. I don't feel like I'm gonna, I don't know, like not have a roof over my head anymore. You know what I mean? It's like,
That's good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like as soon as you change your mindset about it, it's like, you know, it's what I wanted to do at the time when I left Waterstones, and I was so much happier for it, and I still am happy with it. So yeah, I can't look too far ahead sometimes, but if I do, it's like I'm smile because it happened, not because it's over, kind of thing.
That is a good attitude to have. And I
I
like
know.
that, you know, when you take on like a passion as a career, to keep looking to the new opportunities,
Hmm.
to think about ways that it's different than if you were doing it just for fun, to help not
Hmm.
suck that joy out of it. I think that's a good
Yeah.
takeaway.
Yeah, and especially since with reading too, it's so diverse and you can do loads of
Yeah.
things. And one thing that I love to do is, yeah, I like to try and change it up a little bit. I feel like that's why I've had so many eras on my channel. It's like I've had my middle grade era. I kind of had a little bit of a horror era. You know, it's like things change so much. And I
Yeah.
love the versatility of booktube. Like you can kind of change things up a little bit with content and it still be fun. Like you can still make it fun for yourself. You know, it
Mhm.
doesn't get boring. Like I don't think my love for reading will ever go away. So to be able to like retain that is like the most important thing. If I started to hate reading, then I'm in trouble. But fortunately, it's still going, and then I can just like try and think of things in the future, like oh maybe I can go to this place and do that, and just to try and spice it up a little bit too. Like there's
Yeah.
always ways of making it still fun, despite how long you do it for.
Yeah. You have done some interesting videos on your channel of some
I
pretty
wouldn't say
creative
so.
ideas.
I wouldn't say so, no.
uh, and sometimes when I'm watching your content, I'm like, how the heck did he think to even do that? What do you think is the most out there idea that you've made a video around? I
I
have one in my head.
I'd love to hear. I'll try and answer that first before I hear yours because I'm unsure because I've done so many really random, silly things that I look back on now. And I'm like, why did I do that? Like, I did a book haul on a vibration plate. I did a book scavenger hunt with drunk goggles on. I went to a haunted castle for a few nights when I'm scared of like, you know what I mean? It's like God, what would I say is the stranger? Or maybe the cabin. Maybe when I went to the cabin in the middle of nowhere, because again, I can't drive. So the fact that I had to get my sister to drop me off in the middle of nowhere, and the reception was so bad, and there was really very poor internet, and like I had to take my own food. Like, what? Where was the logic? Where was the logic in that? You know, I was terrified. I ended up going a day early because I was that scared. Like, why did I even think that was possible? So I don't know, maybe that because yeah, I did have to leave early. I made myself sick. I was that scared. Yeah, maybe that one. I don't know. I don't know if that's the same one you would say, but
That is a good one, but no, I was
mm,
thinking of the vibrating book haul one.
yeah,
It just
like
it lives rent
it's like
free in my mind, Gavin.
it's like why though? You know what I mean? It's like so I got that idea because I was watching a reality TV show in the UK. Well, it's more like a talk show called Celebrity Juice, and they get the celebrities to like lie on this vibration plate, and they have to try and say I think it was like three hints, and the other people have to guess what it is. But obviously
Mm-hmm.
they're shaking so much they can barely speak. And like it just makes me laugh so much. So I was like, okay, how can I take that idea and like make it booktube related? So I was like, oh, I know I can do a book haul on a vibration plate. So I bought that vibration plate. It wasn't cheap. And I used it for like one video. It's like, why? Why did I do that? But as soon as I get an idea though, I have to do it. Like it doesn't matter what time of day it is. I
That's
remember when
good.
well, it is, but like for
A
instance,
blessing
it
and a
was a
curse.
it is because what this random night one night in 2022, I was lying awake at like 2 o'clock in the morning, just scrolling YouTube, and I come across a video of somebody just experiencing a sleeper train, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds so cool! A sleeper train. I've never heard of those before." So I watched this video, and it was just like a review kind of thing. But then my mind started going, oh, I really want to do a video on a sleeper train now. What can I do on a sleeper train that would be fun? And then I researched, and there was a sleeper train in the UK, and I was like, we have a sleeper train? And then I think I had the idea at like 2 o'clock in the morning. By 5 a.m., I booked the sleeper train, which was like 400, £500, which I don't know, was like, what, $700 or something? And I was like, why did I do this? Just because I really wanted to do a video on a sleeper train. But I'm like, but the logistics, like, can you actually afford that? No. Why did you do that? But as soon as I latch onto an idea, I really do have to go for it. And I can't stop until I do it. It eats me up. It eats me up if I don't do it.
Well, it
Like that.
seems to be working out for you so far.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not to be honest. Like I love doing, for instance, the haunted location ones. I love doing those.
Mm-hmm.
However, I never like those videos. Don't make the money back for me going to these places. Like the places aren't cheap. and I'll book them, and it's so much fun, and I love it. But like the videos never make it back for me. You know what I mean? It's like I
Mm.
lose money every single time I do them, but because they're so fun to do, and I feel like that's my like little niche now, like Gavin Goes
Hmm.
Ghosting or whatever. It's just like I love doing stuff like that. And like, is it viable? Is it like financially the right thing to do? No, it's not financially the right thing to do. However, I'm still going to do them. I'm still going to go to these
Hey, if
places.
you're having fun doing it, so you're getting something out of
Exactly.
it.
I feel like I am because you know what? I'm getting braver as well. The more times I go on these haunted things, I'm more brave now than I was like a year and a half ago when I started doing them. And I'm like, oh, maybe I could do this professionally. Maybe I could be a professional ghost hunter, you know? And at least I've got avenues. So if BookTube falls through, I could become like a paranormal investigator. You know, I'm getting the skills. So
There you go.
honestly, Kelly, if you ever find a haunted location near you, I would 100% recommend going, even if it's just for a night, just to see if you'd enjoy it, because I think you would. Do you like ghosts? Do you
I
believe
I
in
don't
ghosts?
I don't believe in ghosts. I
Fair,
don't.
fair.
Uh but I am interested in like people who do, and like
Hmm. Yeah.
opening my mind to think, what if it was?
Yeah.
There is this one haunted place near me.
Ooh.
It's not like a place you could stay. It's so
Okay.
random.
Damn.
It's this little like place in a forest, okay? Behind a
Okay.
Maggie McFly's. Really random.
What's one of those? What's a Maggie McFly's?
It's a restaurant in America.
Oh,
Yes,
nice.
like an American bar type restaurant.
Okay.
So it's this little forest behind the restaurant, and apparently there are all these little mini like houses, like little fairy houses or something in the forest. And the story is some woman like built them all because she could see these creatures. And then there's like this big throne that she built for herself, and like you don't sit in it or something will happen. And yeah.
Oh, I love I love little urban legends like that. You know, half the time they're obviously like not real and stuff. Like I totally
Mm-hmm.
get it, but like sometimes something I love about ghosts and like ghost stories and stuff is that it does feed into the imagination. It kind of
Yes.
blends the line between what's real and what's not real. And like you, I am fascinated by people who do believe in ghosts, and you know, it's like I kind of. For me personally, I want to believe that they're real. You know what I mean? I want them to
Mm-hmm.
be real. I mean, they're scary. Like, it's kind of a scary thought. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to live in a haunted house or anything, but like, I love the idea of it being real. You know, and like, so
Yeah.
I'm in this skeptic mindset. So when I do my haunted visits, it's never serious. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
seriously want to try and prove that ghosts exist or anything. I just want to like work with what I have to see if
Yeah.
something does happen. So, I mean, I've had a couple of experiences where it's kind of made me question it, but there's always an explanation on the other side of that. Like, yeah, maybe it was that, but maybe it was the wind. You know, like maybe it
Right.
was something like this. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's why I use this Ghost Tube app thing, and it spits out words at you because it uses the electromagnetometer. So if something
Mm-hmm.
spikes it, which is typically associated with ghosts, then it brings up a word on the dictionary, and it's a good way of communicating. You know, it's like having a fun little conversation with a ghost.
With the air in the
So
room.
yeah, it literally could have just been like I passed a socket. You know, I could have passed some kind of electrical socket, and it's just like where it just throws a word at me. Half the words I get are very like nasty to me. Like I get bullied by these ghosts a lot. So it literally could just be some kind of socket on the wall that's made it go like called me a name or something. You know, it's like, but it's fun. It provides entertainment, and that's kind of my main goal being a booktuber is
Yeah.
I want to entertain. I don't just want to read, and I don't just want to say what I'm reading. I want to try and entertain people. I want to make it fun.
Yes. I think you
Hmm.
achieve that with your stuff.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Uh, this is making me think of a good book recommendation
Oh, okay.
that maybe you've read it. Okay, hold on. I've got to look it up because I want to get the author's name correct.
Oh gosh, I hope I
Um,
haven't read it.
it's a YA. I don't typically like YA.
Mm-hmm.
but I like this. It is a YA horror.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Girls Are Never Gone by
Oh, I've
Sarah
never heard
Glenn
of it.
Marsh.
Never heard of it. I need to write it down.
It's so good. So, all right, let me pitch it.
Please.
Um,
Be a booktuber right
it
now.
it is about this girl, and it has disability rep in it. She has diabetes and has a dog who, like, I think his name is like Pancake or something, and he helps her track her diabetes. And she gets this internship where she goes to this old homestead, and she's going to help renovate it to become like a museum or something.
Oh, okay.
But why she's really going there is because she has a podcast about ghost hunting.
Oh.
And there's like stories about ghosts being in this old building. So she's like secretly trying to track the ghosts in there while she's doing her internship and like making episodes about it. And it's got some historical fiction moments in there. It's got some body horror in there.
Ooh.
It's got female romance in there.
You've said
everything.
enough. I'm having it.
It's
I'm
really
having it.
good. It's really good.
I love that so much. And the fact that you have a podcast as well, is that something that kind of oh wait, when you read it, did you have this podcast or?
I did not have this podcast when I read it, but I do like books with podcasts in them.
Same.
That's
Same.
like a weird niche I like. Like I liked Sadie. Did you
haven't read it?
Read that?
Haven't read it, no. So, I'm so behind on so many good reads. I honestly, because I have been dabbling in so many different genres over the years. It's like I miss all of the good stuff. I really do, because I'm stretching myself too thin in other genres. So I will take those recommendations. And again, like, I love podcasts. I love thinking about podcasts. I love listening to them. And so she has a podcast that's like related to ghosts.
The character in the book.
The character
yeah,
in the book,
she has a ghost hunting podcast.
See, that you should do a spin-off of A Cup of Cozy and call it A Cup of Ghosty, and like do some kind of like do some kind of like ghosty stuff on it. Like I think that would be so much fun, and then you could live your dreams, because if you enjoyed that book enough to recommend it, I mean, you can make it a reality.
If I know you've got a big TBR, all right, but if I were to recommend you one, I think this one would be a winner.
I've written it down. I'm excited to read it now. I'll see if my library has it.
It came out, what is it? Published in 2021.
Yeah, it probably has it. My library is so good. Like I did go back to my library. I didn't use it for so long, and then I went back to use my library like 2 years ago, and then I stopped using it again, and then I started using it again at the end of last year, and oh my gosh, it's been a revelation. I honestly love it so much. So it probably has it. It's a really good library, surprisingly, because I thought my area, because I don't live in the best of areas, but I thought, oh, maybe my library just doesn't really have the best selection because it is a bit of a poor area. But no, it's like, it's so good. It's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm really thankful.
Libraries are amazing. I like to own my books, which maybe you could relate to.
Oh yeah.
So
I don't have books. I don't own any books.
I'll have to send you a picture of my library.
Yes, please. Yeah.
We recently, it was a home renovation project. We did floor to ceiling bookshelves. We still got to put the ladder in, but my goal is to get to 1,000 books. I'm at 400 something right now.
Oh, so, you'll get there. You will get there. But the fact that you're going to install a ladder, do you know how much I've wanted a ladder? Like, that's a dream. It is
a dream.
Beauty and the Beast library dreams.
Yes, it's very much a dream. This has like been a dream come true project for me.
Good.
But I was talking about libraries. So,
oh yes,
I like to own books, but libraries are great. And I used to feel bad that like I didn't use the library much, because I like to own my own books. Like I go to the library, bring a bunch of books home, but then just read what I have. Or be like, ooh, I like this. Now I want to buy it. So I've tried to find other ways I could support the library. So I love Hoopla. Do
Oh,
you have that in the UK?
no, we have Libby, but I think you have Libby as well.
Yeah, we have Libby as well. But we also
Yeah.
have Hoopla, which I like because you don't have to wait for things.
Oh, that's good.
Um, yeah. And then my library in this town that we moved to has a book sale twice a week, every week.
Oh, wow.
And it's
Oh,
amazing. I get like a hardcover book for like 50 cents. It
oh my God.
is, I've gotten so many books there.
I can imagine they have like some, because I know my library has some like first editions that came out years and years and years ago, and like some coveted books. I bet you could get some really good books in those library sales. Things that would probably go quite for a lot of money online, sometimes. Because I know my library has, like, for instance, I love One Piece, the manga. My
Mm-hmm.
library has the original manga when it first came out. It used to have this gold foil on the covers. And they stopped
Fancy.
doing it after a certain, yeah. It was so fancy, but they stopped doing it because it was so expensive. But my library has like pretty much all of the foiled covers, and like they go for like thousands on eBay. You know what I mean? It's like my library has the originals. I'm like, if they ever do a sale and they sell them, perfect. I'll grab one, maybe two. But
Maybe all of them.
libraries, maybe all of them, they have hidden gems. They really do have hidden gems.
They do. Libraries are great. So even if you don't
Mhm.
like borrowing books, there's always a way to like
Support.
experience your library.
Very true.
I have a couple more questions and then we could get into the game.
Oh gosh. Yeah,
So,
I forgot about the game.
oh, you can't, I cannot forget about the game. Um, so one of my questions, this is like thinking about coziness broadly in the
Hmm.
cozy community.
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of people in this community are drawn to nostalgic things.
Mm.
And I feel like you're a great person to ask about this because you read a lot of nostalgic book series. But there are people who are like play nostalgic video games or people who are like get really into Tamagotchi as adults. What do you think it is about like that nostalgia
Mm.
that makes things cozy? Or do you even think it is cozy?
It can definitely depend because there are some nostalgic things for me that I don't think I could consider cozy anymore. Like I used to, I was sure because like Animorphs, for instance, like that book series, I remember buying those at like the Scholastic book fairs and things that would
Mm-hmm.
come to schools and stuff. But like that series is like dark, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't exactly call that kind of cozy anymore. But in terms of like nostalgia and stuff, I'm probably going to butcher this quote, but there was a quote like that I read about how like when we reread a book, sometimes it's not the fact that we're rereading it; it's that we want to re-experience how we felt the first time we read it. And I feel like that could tie into a lot of things that we do as adults that we used to love to do as kids. So, like, say for instance, when I read Goosebumps, like I really just wanted to recapture that feeling I
Mm,
had as a child,
yeah.
going to like there was a store called Woolworths that used to sell them, and they sold them for like £2.50 or like £3, which is only like $5 or something. And like, it was so cheap. And like going home, my parents buying it, going home, reading it straight away and finishing it in like 2 hours, and then being like, okay, I need the next one. Like that kind of feeling of like the passion, that childlike wonder for reading is something that I feel like maybe that's why I kind of love middle grade so much too. It's because I'm trying to reconnect with that childlike self and
Hmm.
all the things I used to love as a kid. And middle grade is a great gateway into that, which is why I love it when adults still read middle grade. I know a lot of adults don't read middle grade anymore, which is fine. Like, it's totally valid. But I think so many people are missing out because it's just a great way of like being in touch with your, inner self, like your childlike self. And I would hate to ever lose my childlike self. And I always want to make
Hmm.
him proud every single day and be like, hey, look, I still read. Like I still love reading, and I love, doing these like silly things and making people laugh like you used to do as a kid. And so stuff like that, especially when it comes to nostalgia, is just so nice. And it's a very bleak world, so I think going back to
Can be.
when things were like a little bit simpler, and or at least seemed that way because we were like so protected from it all. You know, it's like sometimes we kind of want to re-experience that too. We want to feel like you know, everything's so fine and well and everyone's happy and safe, and obviously that's not the case, but sometimes reading something that reminds you of childhood or any kind of nostalgia factor, it doesn't even have to be nostalgia for childhood, it can be like your teens. Like for instance, I'm reading the Princess Diaries books right now, and like
Nice.
in terms of like being a teen, you know, it's like there are certain like times of your life that you kind of want to forget, or sometimes you kind of want to touch into some parts of that. I would love to forget my teenage years, let me tell you. Oh my god. But yeah,
I get that though, because sometimes it's like, you know, that part of my life wasn't great, but I remember this like book or this movie bringing me a lot of comfort during that time. So you go back to it because it's that feeling, like you said, returning to the feeling, not necessarily the thing.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, yeah, like tying it back to like coziness and stuff, like cozy, it sounds safe, you know, cozy sounds safe, cozy sounds nice. It sounds like something that everyone deserves, you know, at least I think every single day. Like, I don't think you could ever get sick of coziness or the feeling of being cozy. Because, you know, a lot of us, we're adults and we're, you know, struggling sometimes through life and jobs and paying bills and all of these things that you kind of just, you didn't have to worry about as a kid, or like as when you were younger. So, I think the feeling of coziness is just, it feels like everyone should experience it, and like whatever way that is possible, whether that's reading something from years and years and years ago that you read as a kid, or rewatching a movie that you used to love when you were a kid, or anything like that. Like, I think everyone should at least tap into that, like, as often as possible, really. I just don't think anyone could really get sick of that feeling. It's like, and also like, whenever I film, like, I have to have like a cup of coffee. Coffee to me is cozy. So
Yes.
like, and which is weird because I never used to like coffee until like 10 years ago when I started college, I think. So it's like not exactly a nostalgic thing for me, but now I can't really like go without it. Like, I have to have it when I start filming. It makes me feel safe. It makes me feel like, yeah, I've got this, you know, I can do this. And that
Your
feeling,
emotional support coffee.
it is my emotional support exactly. I mean, it'll be my third one by that point, but like, it does the job. It makes me feel like, you know, like holding it, it's warm, and it makes me feel warm. It makes me feel like I can, this is going to sound weird, like I can lean on it, you know, like as a sort of, like it's there for me kind of thing, which is, it's so odd to say, but like it is. It's like, it's making me feel that it isn't necessarily supporting me, but it's making me feel supported. So when I go and do my nostalgic reads, when I read like the Vampire Diaries or the Princess Diaries or Goosebumps, Animorphs, whatever it is, it's like, that's like, I feel supported in a way, because that is nostalgia for me. That is safety, that is support, that's comfort. You know, it's like, even if I don't like it anymore, it's like, it's still comforting. So yeah, I don't know, what's something that's nostalgic to you that you think you still want to tap into as an adult?
I mean, I think books is part of it, just books in
Mm-hmm.
general, because I found a lot of comfort in them as a young
Mm-hmm.
kid. I'm thinking back to this book. I did read a book that, like, I remember thinking it was so magical when I was a kid and I loved it. It was The Doll People. Uh, it's a very young middle grade. And I
Ooh,
read it
okay.
as an adult, got it from my library. And I was like, this is so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Our
But
tastes have developed.
it was the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Um Other nostalgic things.
Mm.
I like,
It's like,
this is a random one.
okay, I like random.
Neopets.
Oh yeah, okay,
Neopets.
yeah. That
Loved
yeah,
me some Neopets.
that reminds me. I used to love Pokemon like so much too. Like, you know, getting the Pokemon cards and Pokeballs and getting like a Pokedex for Christmas and stuff. Like, Pokemon is nostalgia for me. I know it's still going.
Mhm.
I know it's still ongoing and stuff like that. I think, yeah, you mentioned Neopets. It reminded me of like getting Pokemon for Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas, actually, you know what, a good thing as well. Like, I love seasons and I love how booktube changes each season, kind of thing. Like, say
Mm-hmm.
during Christmas time you'll get lots of wintry kind of vlogs and stuff, or like during Halloween season you get more scarier kind of reads and vlogs and stuff. But like Christmas for me, like I try to reclaim it every single year, is nostalgia, because I had some of the best Christmases as a kid. Like, my mum and dad didn't really like have much, but they always try to make it the best possible for like me and my brother and my sister. So like I try and get that feeling again every Christmas. It never works really. Like, every Christmas I still don't really feel it, but like it's the pursuit of it. It's the pursuit of trying to feel those comforting nostalgic vibes from Christmas. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't always work, but you know, it's still a comfort, you know, and those memories, and you just never want to forget those memories. So I think also by reconnecting with something that is nostalgic to you keeps that memory alive, and I think that's like really important for us as adults to never forget.
That's a good point. There was some quote that was like, sometimes the memory of the thing is better than the actual
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think I might have heard that too. I totally agree, actually. I'm sure the Christmases I had like probably weren't that great, but my memory of it is, and I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going with. That's the truth to me.
Hmm.
You know, I
Hmm.
totally get it. That makes so much sense.
I wanted to talk about travel because you've been doing a lot of
Mm.
it, and it's really become more of like a staple in your content and in your
Mm.
brand, I would say. So, what was your favorite travel experience you've had recently? And what are you
Mm.
looking forward to?
So I oh god, there's actually quite a few now. Actually, I think in terms of travel, not a lot of people do that on BookTube, which is I mean, people do like go away every now and then. You'll see in their vlogs and stuff. But I love doing videos where the location is kind of like a secondary character to the video, kind of thing.
Hmm.
So like, say if I like recently I went to the Shire House in the UK. There was like a replica kind of Shire House from the Lord of the Rings, and like I wanted to be like, okay, I want to go somewhere to read the Lord of the Rings and make it feel like I'm in the Lord of the Rings, and also for that to come across on camera. Like, I want people to click on that Lord of the Rings video and be like, oh my god, this is the Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want people to
Yeah.
feel when I do these kinds of things. So yeah, I think the Shire House recently is something that I absolutely loved. Like, it was one of my favorite experiences, even though I prioritized my coffee machine over food, and I was running low on food by the end of it. And I really should have taken more food instead of a coffee machine, but I survived. I'm still here. I'm still alive. And that was probably like one of my recent favorite memories. Um, but like one of the reasons why I even brought travel over to like being something so prevalent in my content as well is because it's something I love saying on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch paranormal investigators on YouTube. I watch travel vlogs on YouTube. I watch people go to different countries
Hmm.
and experience different cultures. And I always watch these things and I think, I'm so inspired. Like, how can I make that something that I can do too? So, like,
Hmm.
yeah, when I watch my paranormal investigators, I'm like, that sounds like a good place. Can I book it? So, like, for instance, Chillingham Castle, which was like my first proper haunted location, I ended up booking it for 3 nights, I think it was. And I was just like, okay, like, I did have some regrets because it was scary. But I was like, I need to make a book, so I'm going to make it like about horror and read horror books and stuff like that. Because that's something that I love watching myself. I love watching
Yep.
people go to different places, and I love seeing different backgrounds and getting all of that kind of insight into it too. Because when I do my paranormal stuff as well, like obviously I'm not like doing it serious or anything, but being able to see a castle, it's like, okay, I can show people this castle. I can show people this like room that apparently has a ghost in it, and I can tell ghost stories and engage with that in a totally different way than is kind of usual on booktube, and like be a little bit creative with it. So that's why I love doing the travel stuff. Again, it is expensive. It is expensive, but I love making it related to books. So yeah, the one that I'm looking forward to as well. Like, I haven't like announced it or anything, but I made people vote because I know a lot of people do love the haunted locations, and so I made
Hmm.
people vote between like a haunted school, a haunted nunnery, a haunted manor, and a haunted tower, and
Okay.
the nunnery won. So people, well, it was really close, but the nunnery won. So I'm gonna try and get to this haunted nunnery in the next few months and do something there. The only thing is, though, you only get the place from 7 p.m. to like 3 a.m. So like, I don't
That's
know how
random.
to. It really is. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to like film a video in that short time, read a book in that short time, make it related to booktube in that short time? You know what I mean? It's like, I'll still do it because like
Yeah.
it'll be fun. But that's something I'm like really looking forward to. But I also want to do things like you know, Sherwood Forest from Robin Hood. Like it's an actual place and like it's based off of like Sherwood Forest. So I
Hmm.
want to visit there myself and read. I've never read Robin Hood. So I would love to like go to Sherwood Forest, film a video there, read Robin Hood, because I think there are cabins that you can stay in that aren't
Hmm.
isolated, like it's not, you know, in the middle of nowhere kind of thing. So I would handle that. So that's something I'm looking forward to too. And I really want to try and go camping and read Blair Witch Project books. But there are some campsites that I tried emailing one and I never got a response. But like, there are some campsites where I kind of want to be the only person there because if someone hears me screaming in the middle of the night, like, as much as I want the help, I don't want to disrupt a lot of people with me filming. So I kind of want to go
Yeah.
to a place that is isolated, so I'm away from everyone. And there aren't really that many places that offer that. That's also safe because I also want to be safe. I don't want some
That's
because
important.
it's so important because I'm terrified of camping. Like seriously, like I for some strange reason I watch true crime with my like patrons and stuff, and we do true crime and
Uh-huh.
wine nights. And the amount of times I get scared. We watched one on like the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders from like the 70s, and it absolutely terrifies me. I if I go camping, I'm not even kidding. Like it wouldn't even be put on. I'm gonna be terrified. I'm just gonna be scared throughout. As soon as it goes dark, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? It's like I am genuinely terrified of the idea of camping, but I want to do it for this video to read Blair Witch Project books. You know what I mean? It's like how do I
You thought of
stop
it, now you're
myself?
stuck on it.
Exactly. As soon as I think of it, the minute I think of it, I'm like, it's gonna happen because I'm not gonna let it go. It's just like the logistics, like where and when. So that's something I'm also looking into. But there are I just want to make it fun. Like I just want to go these places, make it related to books, whatever that means. I don't want it to always be scary because it seems like that's what I kind of leaned into. And although I do love the scary ones, but I want to do like something nice. Like I think the Sherwood Forest Robin Hood thing would be nice, and you
Yeah,
know,
that sounds like a good
I'm
idea.
constantly thinking. Yeah, I'm constantly thinking, taking in inspirations, giving credit where credit is due, and yeah, just there's so many possibilities, and that's what I love about BookTube. You can do anything really. You know, it's just like your wallet, your finances are the limit.
Yes.
But like, yeah, you can pretty much do so much. So that's what I'm looking forward to a lot. It's like more travel in doing all of these kinds of crazy things.
And that's going back to what we were saying way at the beginning of our conversation with like
Mm.
classics and how they
Hmm.
really describe things because people couldn't go there. And now, like,
Hmm.
we can go there and we could hear it described and we could experience it.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
double the experience.
That's why I love doing that Haunted Castle vlog because I got a few comments saying, "Oh my god, I'm never going to get the chance to go to Chillingham Castle," but now I kind of don't have to because I saw it in your video. You know what I mean? It's like
Mm-hmm.
I love comments like that where I can take people with me and I can just like chat the camera and be like, "Hey, we're here today." It's like I want to try and make the audience feel included on all of
Yeah.
the things that I do because when I'm in those places myself, I want you guys to be there with me. I don't want to be alone. I want to involve everyone. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I'm leaning on you guys, like protect me. You know, like you know, make me feel safe. So that's why I love doing those things too. Because yeah, as you said, like opening it up to people who would never experience it otherwise, and
Mm-hmm.
it's if I can do that, like the Shire House too. Like I don't think very many people would be able to. Like I don't. I think my largest audience is America, so I feel like a lot of Americans wouldn't be able to just come over to the UK, go to the Shire House, and spend a week there. So I try and show as much of that as possible when
Mm-hmm.
I can, when it's viable.
Well, that's really cool. And I'm loving it. And I know you have another trip coming up.
Yes, yes.
What is the company that does
Mhm.
it?
It's Trova Trip. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
they build the itineraries, they do all of the logistical things, they get the operators in check and stuff, and they reach out to people like me who can like host these trips and bring people along to like experience these like different things in different places. So I do have a trip to Egypt in November, and then I have a trip to China next March. And then I haven't announced this just yet, but it's gonna happen next summer, and that's gonna be Norway. So I really want to go to Norway with
Nice.
everyone, go to the fjords and experience these like incredible places and stuff too. But I've been loving it. I went to Japan with like Trova Trip, and I was like the host of that. And honestly, I was so scared beforehand because I was like, what do I do? Like, I've never done anything like this before. But honestly, like they cover everything. Like everything's like so easy to do and just like to go along with, and to be able to actually meet people in person,
Mm-hmm.
meet people, yeah, meet the online people from the book community in person. Oh my
Yep.
god, it
Yep.
was incredible. Like the people who went to Japan with me, they were so funny and so approachable and so nice. And I feel like they were nervous of meeting me, but I was nervous to meet them too. You know what I mean? It's like all of us book
Mm-hmm.
people, we were like unnecessarily nervous, and then we just got on so well, and it was like the best time. And I feel like going on trips with book people is like the best because they're just like you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
we're just all
Mm-hmm.
normal book nerds.
Yeah, I loved watching I was following people who went on your Japan trip, and we talked
Hmm.
before we started recording that I'm friends with Rocky too, and Rocky went
Yeah.
on that trip. My
Yeah.
husband and I are planning to go to Japan this year, so I might have to
Oh
look for some inspiration yet again.
my god. Oh, I hope you love it, honestly. It's like, I need to go back like instantly. So if you need a third wheel, like I'm here. Like, you guys will have the best time. Like oh god, I'm so excited for you. Yeah,
I've
just
been planning the itinerary. Uh,
oh.
Want to spend time in where's like where the bamboo forest is?
I mean, so we were in, it was Osaka, I think, was potentially, because we had to, when we went to the bamboo forest, we had to take a train like a little bit
Mm-hmm.
like further out. So I don't think it's Nara. It's not Nara, is it? Because that was
No,
the deer
Nara's where
forest.
the deer are.
Yeah.
I don't
I,
know.
I wasn't sure if it was like,
I'll have to
mhm.
look it up.
Oh no, Kyoto. I think it's near Kyoto,
Yes,
actually.
yes, that
Yeah,
sounds right.
Kyoto. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've forgotten it myself, but like, yeah, we had to take like a train, like a few trains out to like go to it. It was like a little bit more remote, but yeah, that's oh gosh, just all the places. There's just too much to say. You would need
I'm excited.
months upon months.
I know. It's a huge place. It's
Mm,
huge.
yeah.
Uh, all right. Again, we could keep talking about all this stuff forever,
Mm.
but we've been talking forever, so let's get to the game.
Okay, I'm ready, I think.
All right. So, because I don't want to say too bad of a word, it's going to
Mm.
be called Kiss, Mary Kill, book edition.
Okay. Oh, okay. Kiss, Marry, Kill, book edition. Okay.
So, but not characters in the books. It's if this book were a person. So, like
Oh,
the
okay.
vibe of the book. The book is the person. Okay.
Okay, good, because I'm terrible with character names, honestly. Like,
That's what
you'd
I was
say a
thinking. I was
character,
like,
I'd be
I'm
like,
not gonna remember the characters from these books, but I like can remember the vibe of the book.
mm-hmm.
All right. So there's gonna be three different questions. Three different
Okay,
times. Okay.
okay.
So the first one, Crescent City,
Mm-hmm.
Lord of the Rings,
Mm.
and Red Rising.
Oh. Well, I mean, I'm easily going to kill Crescent City. I'm sorry, but like, as much fun as I have reading it, it also makes me like so angry. Like, so if Crescent City was an actual person, I feel like I would get so frustrated with them because I would see the potential in them, and I'd be like, Crescent City, like you could do so many great things if you put your mind to it. Like yes, you're having fun right now, but you need to be serious. You need to take this seriously. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like I would have such a long, exhaustive argument with Crescent City. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yes, yes, it does.
Okay, so kiss and marry. Oh gosh. Well, I would probably kiss Red Rising. because I'm trying not to think of the author because Pierce Brown is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But like the series itself, the book itself, I would just kiss it because, like, it was a very good read. Like it was entertaining. I feel like we would have a lot to say over drinks, but I feel like long-term commitment, it's something that maybe I would forget in like 5 or 6 years, maybe. So it's like, yeah, it's a great interaction, but longevity-wise, it's not a forever thing, you know?
It's just a fling.
It's a fling. That's the word. Yeah, that's the right one. Yeah, it's just a fling. So I'd probably say that. And then I'll marry Lord of the Rings because, like, it's the Lord of the Rings. Like, when I reread the Lord of the Rings, and I feel like even just like being in the presence of the Lord of the Rings as a person, like they would remind me of why I do what I do. They remind me of why I read. They remind me of the love for it, the imagination, the stories they would tell over years upon years upon years. There's like so much there, so much depth that I feel like, yeah, they could literally say something brand new to you like 5, 6, 7, 20 years down the line that you never knew about them before. Like there's always something to discover with that world / that person. Like they're too vast, you know. There's you can't just have a fling with Lord of the Rings. You have to marry them forever.
I love that. That's a good answer.
That. Well, do you have to answer these questions as well? Do you have
No, because I picked books that I have not read, but I know that you've read. So
okay, perfect. Okay, that's more.
I've only read one from that list, so I will not.
Oh, who knows? Maybe I'll end up reading the rest at some point.
All right, next one. I tried to group them in some sort of way. So these are series, so you could think of the series as a whole. The Vampire Diaries. Pretty Little Liars, and Bridgerton.
Oh God. Oh God. How could you do that to me? I don't love any of them really. Like, you know, it's like
you gotta marry one of them.
I've got to make a commitment. Damn, that's a hard one. Well, I think instantly already I would kill the Vampire Diaries. Like some of those books were some of the worst I've ever read. So I feel like this person would be one of the worst people I've ever met. You know, it's like to begin with, you kind of want to be part of their world because hey, they seem cool, they seem pretty alright. But actually, when you find out more about them and you spend more time with them, you realize they're not a nice person. They're toxic. They need to be out of your life stat. So definitely kill Vampire Diaries.
All right.
Oh, but God, the other two though. Okay, it's really hard. I would maybe kiss Bridgerton because it's so all over the place. You know, it's very messy. I can't imagine committing my life to something that's so messy and something that's so like you don't know what you're going to get with each day you're with them or like with each book, you know, like it's like they're so different to each other. I feel like you would get this nice version of them one day and then the next day they'll tear your hair out or they'll, I don't know, like set you on fire or something. Like you just can't tell what they're going to do. They're so unpredictable. So yeah, I think I would just kiss Bridgerton and like leave it at that because yeah, I don't want to spend too much time there. And then I guess I'd have to marry Pretty Little Liars, even though... with Pretty Little Liars, right, there's 16 books. There's 16 books.
Yep.
The first 8 are decent. The first 8 are pretty good. The last 8 aren't. So it would be a marriage where the first 8 years of the marriage, great. Like, it's kind of like an extended honeymoon period of that time. And you're just having so much fun during that time. And then it gets to the 8th year or the 9th year, and it just all falls apart. But, like, obviously we can't get divorced. But it's like we put up with each other after that point. So I feel like it's too late for both of us to move on to anyone else. So that's my reasoning with Pretty Little Liars. Yeah.
Wow. All right. I love how you have an in-depth reason for each. I love it.
I have to. If
you
I'm going to put
know
myself...
that this was going to happen.
No, but I feel like I have to justify why I would marry Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah, yeah. All right. The last one is my favorite
Oh
because
God.
it's spicy.
Oh, okay. You got my interest.
So
I'm a little bit scared, but
if kids are listening, this is probably the part where they should drop off of the podcast. All right.
oh, excited.
You've
Mhm.
got Get in My Swamp,
Oh.
Dick Fight Island,
Mhm. Mhm.
and Ice Planet Barbarians.
Oh God. Oh yeah, those are a little bit of a stranger choice. a little bit of a stranger choice. I mean, Get My Swamp is definitely getting killed. Like, get out of my swamp. I don't want that anywhere near my swamp. You know what I mean? It's the worst. It's the actual worst. And it had such a good premise too, because like when you first meet Get My Swamp, you think, oh gosh, I love what you could stand for. You know, like Hot Shrek. Like, who wouldn't want that? You know what I mean? But then you realize that they're just a big disappointment. Like they're never gonna
Mm.
live up to their promises, kind of thing. Like they're all talk but no action. So you kind of want to just kill them off and get it over and done with. And the other two, Ice Planet Barbarians, I would probably just kiss because it's something that you're kind of curious about. Like it's kind of forbidden a little bit. Like you know, in your teen years when you kind of experiment a little bit. And like for me, I think Ice Planet Barbarians would be my experiment. Like,
Okay.
like, am I attracted to you? Like, could this be a thing? And then we would kiss, and I'd be like, actually, maybe this can't work, and maybe this can't work. But I'm glad I did it. Like, I wouldn't say I have regrets, but I'm glad I did it. And then I would marry Dick Fight Island because I unashamedly kind of love it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so strange. It's so strange, but it also has heart. And I feel like with Dick Fight Island, it's like something, or it's like a person you would rule off based off of appearances. You would think, oh, that
Mm.
person they don't look like the kind of person I would be into. Absolutely not. But then you get to know them. You get to spend more time with them. And then you realize, actually, we have more in common than we initially suspected. Like, this isn't love at first sight, but I've fallen in love. And I feel like
Ah,
that would be
yes.
me and Dick Fight Island. So I would absolutely marry Dick Fight Island.
All
100%.
right.
I love those questions though so much. We need to do like
Thank you
another
for
one of
playing
these where
along.
it's just like all of these kinds of questions where you can play along as well because I just loved all that.
That would be fun, like a live stream where it's just a bunch of those questions and
yeah,
see
like
what
really
everybody's
random.
answers would be.
Yeah, I feel like getting to know everyone else's answers too. Like if anyone's listening to this or watching this and they have answers themselves, I'd love to know what people would marry,
Yes.
kill, and kiss if they've read
Mm-hmm.
them,
Yes.
and if not, read them.
Yes. Maybe Gavin's answers gave you a reason to want to read them. If you think you'd like
True.
them as a person, maybe like the book.
True. It's a different, you know what, I've never thought of that. It's a different way of recommending books. Maybe I might try this in the future. Obviously, all credit to you. Like, would I kiss, marry, or kill this book? Well, actually, and maybe that's like a way of recommending books in the future. Maybe you've just changed the game.
Mm.
You've just changed the
Mm.
game, Callie. Wow.
That's a new rating system. Are they in the kiss, marry, kill category?
Oh my god. Well, it would be a great, like, kind of like tier ranking, like the books I've read, kiss, marry, kill kind of thing. I think that would be really funny.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Gavin, thank you so much for being on the show. I had a great time. Uh, and I just want you to, what do you want to leave the audience with and let them know where they could find you?
Well, firstly, thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it. It was a blast for me too. You can find me on Gavin Reads It All on YouTube. I do a lot of silly things sometimes, and hopefully it just makes you happy if you watch it. You can also find me on Instagram. I think it's GavGav7. I don't know my own things, but like yeah, you can find me in most places online. And anything I all I have to offer really in the future is just myself. So if that sounds good to you, then that's good for me too. I don't have any kind of plans set in stone that I could really shout out other than what we've already discussed for like some future location visits. But if you want to pick me, choose me, love me, then that would be great.
More fun shenanigans.
Shenanigans is
Maybe
Correct.
Maybe a Kiss, Marry, Kill book rating video.
Yeah, I'm thinking that the cogs are working. The cogs are working in my brain.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the episode, and I will see you next time.
Thanks. Bye.